The Arizona Coyotes end their losing streak in the strangest way against a team that you might not have expected, but can they keep the momentum as they return home to host the Tampa Bay Lightning? Well, we'll talk about that on today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I am your host, Robyn Leonia. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and get out of $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. This is Locked On Coyotes, as I said, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We are free and available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in on YouTube or even YouTube Music, Sirius XM, and ad-free. You can listen ad-free, yes, that's right, on Amazon Music. We got a great show on today's episode. We had the day off, and as you can tell, Matthew is off as well. He's on vacation, getting a well-deserved break. But it's just going to be me today after a day off on Monday because needed that. For those that don't know, I had I had a busy weekend after Thanksgiving. I kind of kept things really busy as much as I could, but that's the price of being a working person. Anyways, let's get into today's episode. So I'm going to start by talking about the Coyotes' win over the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And it's an interesting one because, as you recall from our episode on from Friday night, Saturday morning, Matthew and I didn't really have the utmost optimism for the Coyotes versus the Knights. And I think that goes to kind of going in with a lot of different factors. Going into the idea that, this team was injured and they were showing signs of a little bit signs of regression based off of those injuries. And they were on a 3-game losing streak. Like, let's be real. Like, when you're on a losing streak like that and you're going up against one of the best teams in the league, let alone the most recent Stanley Cup champion, you're going to have relatively low expectations. And I'm not saying the Coyotes even played great against Vegas. Honestly, they didn't. Let's just put it this way. Connor Ingram is doing Connor Ingram things, and I just freaking love to see it. Matthew and I have been talking about it. We're going to eventually see the day when Connor Ingram gets named the starting goaltender for the Arizona Coyotes. Officially at this point. I don't know how far away we are from that. But based on the performance against Vegas, stopping 34 of 34, that's right, yes, so essentially keeping up a shutout for the Coyotes. Connor Ingram doing the majority of the work for the Arizona Coyotes. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see if I can bring up the graphics here. And it's going to take me might take me a little bit to get it up, but If you just take a look at it, I'm looking, trying to see if I can find, get it back up for me. Nope, not that one. There we go. You take a look at it. Yes, the Coyotes won 2-0. You look at every metric. The Coyotes did not play all that great of a game outside, again, Connor Ingram's performances. 18 shots on goal. Only 2 power play opportunities, giving Vegas 5. They kind of got lucky. They got, to have crawling out of that one. 17 versus 29 faceoffs won. It was a very low event game. And even take a look at the freaking box score where each period. It was scoreless. That's right. It was scoreless through 2 periods. And it wasn't until Clayton Keller was able to break the tie in the 3rd period. And again, it's no surprise it was Clayton Keller. Keller had a pretty solid performance again with that one goal. And again, that's what you want to see from the who's supposed to be the best player on the team. Some of the other performances too, Lawson Krause, he's the one that got the empty netter. Points and aka also assists were awarded to Nick Bukestad, to Logan Cooley, to Matthias Michelli. So the players that you would hope are going to show up and perform are players that did so. And I think that's the most important thing that you want to see from the Coyotes, if they're able to continue to do that. And a win like that, not only let me reiterate, this was, even like I said, it wasn't a pretty win, and I feel like we have to kind of drill back into that 1 second. It definitely was not a pretty win, but those that have been listening to the show every day know that we've been talking about, it's actually it can be nice to win ugly. It can be nice to win ugly because guess what? You're getting the win. That's the most important part. You are getting the win. And I think that's what we need to focus on when you get a win like this. Yeah, sure, it might have not been the best kind of win, but you got the win. The Coyotes are finding ways to win. Good teams, no matter how ugly the win might be, find ways to win. That's all I got to say about that. We're going to continue talking about this on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We're going to I'm going to maybe see if I can find any more thoughts that I have for you guys, as well as just take a look at, see anything, get you guys ready for the Arizona Coyotes versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, because we got that coming up. So we're going to talk about that right after this. And today's episode, guys, is brought to you by Sleeper. A new NHL season bring all sorts of possibilities. Clayton Keller can score 50 goals. The Arizona Coyotes can make the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. And you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Once again, you can just pick whatever players you want to win. Take this week to win that 100 times your money. You can do it alongside other sports, not just hockey. We can do NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, even all on Sleeper. I know we're at the end of the regular season, so to speak, for college football. We can still do that anyways. Talk about we got a group team chat functionality in the app, so you can connect with other fans. Entries can be made in another minute. All you have to do is pick whether or not studs, like let's say Logan Cooley and Clayton Keller, record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. Once again, you heard me, Coyotes fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks, and you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Once again, that's LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper terms of use for details and locational availability. Once again, welcome back, everyone, to Locked On Coyotes, #1 daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I want to thank everyone once again for making this show your first listen every day. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys can tell it's just me today. Matthew has got the week off. It's not going to be just me all week long, so it's okay. I know some of you guys could be sick and tired of hearing me talking so much and just me. I got other people coming your way throughout this week, so just be sure to stay tuned for that. But we got a great, continuing on this part. The the Coyotes are going up against the Tampa Bay Lightning now. And I think this is going to be another one of those games in which it's going to be a challenge. We have to take a look at a lot of different factors. To me, I think the biggest thing is retaking advantage of mullet magic. I think is one of the biggest things that they really have to take to focus on. And yeah, sure, might not be as as special as it was last year and how crazy the mullet magic was. But you would say you still can't take advantage of that. I feel like it's definitely possible. Yes, you're going up against a team that recently won back-to-back Stanley Cups. So you're gonna take, I guess, like we talked about it before. This is the Stanley Cup Gauntlet. This is where the Coyotes truly get a challenge. They were able to overcome one of those major challenges in Vegas, and we talked about that. And and talked about how important it is to just find ways to win games. Mullet magic is going to be kind of a factor, but I feel like once again this is going to be another game in which if the Coyotes want to win this game, they have to find a way to win this game. I definitely want to see a bigger performance from the top lines. We're going to see if they decide to stick with keeping Logan Cooley on that top line with Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of chemistry there. Maybe it's working right now again, because you just have to figure out what's going to work. Because we saw earlier last week that having Keller, Schmaltz, and Boyd is like turning back the clock to that 2021 season or the 2021-2022 season when it was absolutely atrocious. No one wanted to see that. No, nothing against Boyd. Fine player. That line is not for the kind of team we want to see competing against a gauntlet like this. So that's why they put Cooley in there. And as much as I think any of us will question it and saying that, yeah, maybe something like that could hurt Cooley's confidence. Maybe it helps him. We're still figuring that out, right? We're still figuring that out. It takes more than a couple games to see if the line really works. But I feel like right now it is your best option with Barrett Hayton still out, and at least for the foreseeable future. What are you going to get exactly from that line? They need to take a huge step up. I want to see again, more from the supporting cast, the rest of the rest of the team. Lawson Krause has been great. He got the empty. Yeah, sure, he got the empty netter. Let's see him try to do a little bit more. Matthias Micheli once again has been another bright spot. I feel like the one thing that I am, unfortunately, I have to kind of take a look back on again is this defense. This defense hasn't been great. And I feel like that, it doesn't. I feel like I'm kind of going back on myself for saying this because, early in the year, I was like, yeah, you know what? I feel like this defense has made huge strides. And even in the beginning of the season, I said the same thing. This defense has made huge strides. And they look a lot better than the previous years. The problem is when you have the defense also injured, it's going to make a difference. And it's interesting because I was actually thinking about talking about this, and maybe this is a topic that I bring up to you guys as a full episode later this week. But maybe with the injuries to the defense and the holes that we're seeing, maybe it's time to revisit re-upping that discussion on trying to go after the our fellow Flames defenseman. I'm really blanking on his name right now. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. The Noah Hannafin. I don't know why I was blanking on it. I was thinking in my head, who is it? Noah Hannafin. It might be worth revisiting trading for Noah Hannafin. And I know my fellow co-host Matthew is not on today's show to have his rebuttal, because I know he has had his thoughts on what that means. And I'm not saying that the Coyotes should just say, bite the bullet, and it's like, you know what? They need to trade for Hannafin now. I am not saying that. I'm saying revisit the discussion. Revisit that discussion, because I feel like that is a really important thing to get to right now. Noah Hannafin can really, I feel, could fit the void that they're feeling right now. And to be honest, I feel like it kind of will help. It's like help swap in a part that can eventually fine tune the team when they get healthy again. Yeah, sure. Obviously, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to lose in gaining Hannafin. Someone like someone of Hannafin's caliber. And again, I think, like I said, that's where a full episode discussion is going to have to come. So that's going to be coming from their time. So be sure to stay tuned to Locked On Coyotes later this week to find out, about that full discussion. That said, I feel like this team is gonna has a lot of things on their plate. So I feel like a couple things to focus on. Once again, like I said, take advantage of the mullet magic. Do what you can to bring it back. 2, use the momentum from the win. Whatever momentum that you had from the win against Vegas, whatever you're feeling, use that. Use every darn inch of that momentum. Whatever you can squeeze out of it, use it. And then, of course, I think last thing I said again is defense has to shut it down. Defense has to shut it down. And I'll even give a couple bonus things on here, because I feel like there's a lot of different keys to, I feel like what the Coyotes need to do to defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm going to go back to those penalties again, because the penalty kill, sure, it's been fine, but it can only do so fine if it takes so many penalties. So there it is. Limit your time in the penalty box. I know it's simple. It's a very simple thing to think about, but it's better said than done, I guess, sometimes for this Arizona Coyotes team. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts and give you guys my picks of the game, and talk about exactly what I think where this game is going to go. We'll get to that right after this. And today's episode is brought to you by Collective.com. If you want a solo business, you're an army of one, but you still need a CPA, a bookkeeper, separate payroll solutions, and more. Let Collective take care of the paperwork while you take care of business. Collective is the #1 financial solution for freelancers, contractors, and self-employed entrepreneurs that lets you focus on your passion, not your paperwork. Let Collective handle all of the paperwork you dread, like corporate formation and compliance, taxes, bookkeeping, accounting, and even payroll. The best part is it's a fraction of the cost of a CPA. Collective knows that if your business of one makes over $80,000 a year, you will find the most value from their services. Join the thousands of solopreneurs who have saved an average of $10,000 per year on taxes with their structure. Right now, Collective is offering 1 free month and no onboarding fee when you go to collective.com/LockedOnNHL and tell them LockedOnNHL sent you. Once again, that's a $550 value for free when you go to collective.com/LockedOnNHL and tell them that LockedOnNHL sent you. Once again, it's All right, let me get you guys some final thoughts, and then we're gonna talk about the picks of the game. Let's get to that, and before I get to those final thoughts, so the picks of the game. Let's go to our FanDuel odds of the game. The Arizona Coyotes once again are underdogs, 1.5, by the way. Like I said, there's no really surprise there. It's the usual in terms of the puck line spread, so to speak, of where these games are going to go. That leaves us now at with a money line. Coyotes are plus 118. Lightning are at minus 142. No surprise, Lightning are favored again. We talked about this. This Coyotes team is going to have a challenge as they run through the gauntlet. They're going against another Stanley Cup champion. Total points at 6.5. I'm trying to figure out where I want this to, where I think I want this one to go, because like part of me, and this might just be like that, that little fan inkling in me that's going like, you know what, this Coyotes can make this a close one. Maybe they could force overtime. Who knows? I am going to continue to be pessimistic and be, at least for now, through this gauntlet until they prove me otherwise. And they have like a fantastic game, and they do it for more than one game in a row, more than one game. So let's see if they can do it this game and the next before I decide to bring out my more optimism in this one. So I'm going to say that the Arizona Coyotes do not cover on that money line or on the point spread on this one. I feel like this one's going to be like a 5-2, 5-2, 5-3. Tampa Bay Lightning win. So that kind of gives you, I think, with those scores, either one of those scores, really, that I'm taking the over on this one, over that 6.5, because I feel like, either 7 or 8 points. That seems about right, based off of just how I feel like this game is going to go. Because I just feel like Tampa Bay is just, they're Tampa Bay. They're not that as powerhouse. I mean, they're still really good. They're still a really good team. They're not like how they were against, during those back-to-back Stanley Cup years, because there's a lot of other better teams out there. So it's harder to kind of gauge exactly where they're at. But I just don't have the confidence right now. I just do not have the confidence that I'm going to use a term that Matthew would use all the time, a painfully mediocre team up against one of the NHL's elite teams. I just don't think that you can't put them, on the same playing field right now, especially, like I said, with all the injuries. So, but once again, 5-2, 5-3, Tampa Bay Lightning are going to take this one. Anyways, I feel like that's kind of all I can give today. If you have any questions or anything that you feel like I should touch on, feel free to just at me on social media. I'm at Robyn_Leano. It's ROBYN_LEANO. So just be sure to just mention me. That's on X. I'm also on Threads I got the same profile on Threads. So once again, that's Robyn_Leano. If you have any questions, like I said, just at me. I'll answer back. If I don't answer back immediately on social media, maybe I'll have it saved for another episode of the podcast. Who knows? I do that for the most part. If anyone shares any comments, I tend to at least respond. Maybe even if it's not directly, I'll say, hey, maybe this is something I feel like we should touch on. If you notice that, that's what I do. I kind of pay attention to what a lot of you guys say. So leave your feedback. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. your comments on YouTube, or your interaction on social media, on X or on Threads or on Blue Sky, whatever you guys are following us on. We thrive off of your interaction. But that's going to be it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube, Sirius XM, and ad-free on Amazon Music. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on X at LO_Coyotes. Don't forget to interact with us on myself. Like I said, I'm at Robyn_Leonio. And like I said, interact with us, ask any question, I'll answer right back. Or in the future episode of the podcast, like I just said earlier. But once again, thanks everyone for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.